Hey guys, and welcome to a new video where I cover how one little switch can increase your DPM by a large margin. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. This switch is of course the Planted Feet switch, requiring level 89 invention to obtain, as you need cyber components which you can only use at level 89 invention. Now I'm pretty sure you can use a super or extreme invention potion to boost to unlock the components earlier on. The Planted Feet perk, once put on a secondary weapon, increases the duration of Sunshine and Death Swiftness abilities by 25%, resulting in an increase from 30 seconds to 37.8 seconds, which then results in a massive DPM increase, as you'll see in just a minute. The only downside to this perk is that it removes the damage effect for enemies standing in the 7x7 radius. Now you can get the perk after obtaining 2507 reputation in Goldrush Dungeon 2, aka the Heart of Gillanor, and you need level 89 invention either regularly or when boosted. You get reputation by completing your daily contracts in the Heart of Gillanor, giving 150 each, and these bounties simply consist of you killing 100 members or minions of another faction. So for example, if you're fighting for Saren, you can get a contract to kill 100 minions of Zamorak, and these minions also drop ingression fragments, which when used to call reinforcements also gives you reputation. And if you kill any of the 3 other bosses, you can hand in the seals you get every kill for 5 reputation each at the Saren faction leader. And finally, another good way of obtaining reputation is by buying the anima crystal if the traveling merchant has it in its shop or stock. If you easily want to keep track of the traveling merchant, I recommend joining the Deep Sea Fishing Discord linked in the description below. Then if you want to know which days the traveling merchant has certain items in its stock, you can go to the React Rules channel on this Discord and simply select the items you want to get pinged for, and then join the Whirlpool D&D FC to get notified for when the traveling merchant is actually there when you're online in game. And you also need 2 to 3 cyber components depending on which of the perk variations you're going to be creating in a regular weapon gizmo shell. There is no need to use ancient invention gizmo shells. You can get cyber components from pretty much anything that Hellware drops. If you want a lot of components, simply level up a Hellware item to level 9 and disassemble it for 4 times the amount of components. Now you see 2 gizmos on screen. The one to the left is a lot more expensive as it also requires Ilajankan components. However, the one on the left is only necessary if you are using a main hand weapon with Aftershock, because you want to use this item to maintain your Aftershock percentage, aka Aftershock stacks, so that you do not lose out on any potential damage. This particular perk is best used on a main hand switch because then you can still use your defensive abilities with your shield and stuff like that. Also, both of these gizmos have a 100% success rate. Now the one on the right is the one I'm currently using on my Sunspear, and I'll explain why in just a second. But this one is much cheaper as it only requires 2 sorry components, and if you've gotten lucky using your scavenging perk or whatever, you won't have to buy a cyber item to disassemble for components. Now, this is the one you want to be using if you do not have Aftershock on your weapon. So if you're using the best in slot budget perks like Precise 6, Equilibrium 4, Ruthless 3, you might as well just get this one. Now, because when you use Planted Feet, you're only going to be clicking on it for just a second to use your ultimate abilities, you won't need a high tier weapon to put this perk on. You can use a low tier wand or a Sun Spear like I'm using, because you can switch the Sun Spear to both ranged, magic and melee, so you can just switch it to ranged or back to magic for whenever you need it. The Sun Spear is a very effective way of saving money because you have 2 Planted Feet switches for the price of 1. Now, the longer duration for these 2 abilities unlocked by the World's Wakes quest called Sunshine and Death Swiftness is of course just a overall damage increase. But how much does this perk actually increase your overall average DPM? Well, luckily I've tested that for you to see. I have tested this with a friend of mine by the name of Plebshall, who has helped me with plenty of videos. We did this by using Dwarven Challenge Barrels, which are basically gems, aka the item everyone uses to test their 5-minute damage potential. However, these only last 3 minutes. So it's a slightly smaller sample size, but it really doesn't matter. Now, both of our rotations and tests weren't perfect, but it's not about the maximum amount of damage, or I would have used better overloads. other items and all that stuff. It's about the difference without all of the items you can see on screen. You know, no poison, no familiars, no gold book charged, no onslaught, no vulnerability spell, you know, the 10% damage increase and all that stuff. It's about the difference between your DPM with and without a planted feet switch. Now, as you can see here, my DPM with planted feet was 153.3 thousand. My DPM without planted feet was 134.5 thousand. So that's a difference of 18.8 thousand damage per minute. That is a massive difference. That's approximate DPM increase with planted feet of 14%, and it could be more depending on your rotation. The increase in damage with the planted feet switch is so insane that it could mean the difference between you being able to qualify for AOD 7-man or not. Because with the planted feet switch and my basic DPS rotation, you'd be able to get a 750,000 gems. So 750,000 damage in 5 minutes, which is what you need to qualify for Angel of Death 7-man. As for Plebshot, the difference in DPM with and without planted feet is noticeably lower. However, his overall DPM is of course higher. But that's probably because he's using more switches, so he has more opportunities to be better or worse with a certain rotation or mess things up. But the fact of the matter is you get a phenomenal DPM increase by simply using one more switch when only using your ultimate abilities with magic and ranged. Now, if you found this video interesting, I do have a playlist about getting into PvM with PvM tips and tricks and other informational videos that you might find interesting. If you don't know how to properly do a basic damage rotation, please check out the DPS for Beginners video, as it also includes rotations with a planted feet switch. Also, according to my analytics, about 80% of you guys are not subscribed, so feel free to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy and find my content useful. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.